Periodically, Americans particularly come to that point where there was a great unification of purpose. We've experienced it in our own lifetimes. But of late, it lasts for a while and it slowly begins to dissipate. The thing about that era from 1941 to deep into 1945 is that was a very, very long time for all of us to consider the fact that, number one, hey, there's a war on, don't you know that? And two, we're all in this together. So the great commonality of the purposes, I think, is why I go back to it again and again and again for new examples of what is an old story, but should and will unfortunately probably become new again. The stories that we tell on film are extremely personal, in which the details matter more than any overall picture or overall strategy. We don't have a lot of maps. We might have a little bit of explanation just to set up the context. But it really did because of them, the story of Doc Rowe or Dick Winters or the characters like Snafu or Eugene Sledge. It's about the individual guys and what they went through for a big chunk of their times. They were all involved in this for about somewhere between 3 to 5 years of their lives, and during a big chunk of that time, no one had any idea what the outcome was going to be. That establishes, I think, what's the word I'm looking for, sort of like a petri dish for emotional understanding, in which we do not just celebrate the nostalgia of it all, but we celebrate the human endeavor.
The Greatest Generation, when I wrote it, really was a tribute to my parents and to that generation, never believing that it would exceed or succeed as much as it did in touching the lives of their children and others who came along later. I lived on an army base during World War II. I was 3 years old. I wore a helmet every day, and I fought the Germans and the Japs and all the ditches on the way to school. And everybody around me was going to war, coming home from war, and it was going 24 hours a day. And then the 50s came along. Those guys came home from the war, and America was in an economic boom that was unprecedented. And they didn't want to talk about it. We didn't have to think about it.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you.